Hi everyone, welcome back to Plum Mashable. So today I'm going to be doing this watercolour-y pop-up butterfly card. So if you want to see how I made it, then just keep watching. Alright, so we're going to be playing with a little bit of watercolour today. So I have myself a little bit of watercolour paper. I don't need a whole A4 piece. It's going to go, I'm going to have a bit on the front of this card, which I'm going to matte with black anyway. And then a little bit for the butterflies. So we kind of need just a little bit more than an A5, so half of an A4 kind of does the job. Then what I'm going to do is stick this down using some tape. Now this is actually, it's actually supposed to be transfer tape, but I find it does a really good job of doing this as well. And because I need to go the whole way around and I don't really want to use all my washi tape, I also find washi tape tends to come up when I'm playing with water. So I'm going to try this instead. Why won't you? Thank you. Why won't you test? So I'm just leaving a teeny tiny border. That's not for any reason. It's just more because I don't want to spend put the whole thing. There we go. I should have done that the first time. More because I don't want to put the whole thing and then have no actual room to work on. The only problem is it does sometimes do this. It rolls back and sticks up on itself, but it's okay. Alright, so there we go. We've got our palette ready. Kinda. Doesn't matter if it goes off the edges. We're not using it to mask anything. So I did sort of have a play with using watercolour paints, and the only reason I'm not going to use watercolour paints today is because I want to use pink. Yes, I know it's not my favourite colour, but I really want a soft kind of thing here, and I could have very easily gone purple, but I thought, you know what, I don't use pink, so let's play with pink. And I only have one watercolour pink, and it's a very vibrant pink, and I need to be able to pull this down just a little bit. So I'm going to be using my oxides today. I've got worn lipstick, tattered rose, and spun sugar. They look really cool together, which is kind of the point. But they also look really nicely on their own, and I haven't quite decided if I'm going to use all of them or just bits of them, or I don't know. So to do this watercolor technique, I'm going to absolutely saturate my page. I want a really washed out, pale, pulled back kind of watery look. So I've just got my little spray thing filled just with plain water, and I'm just going to town. I need this to be as wet as possible. And this is why really we stuck that down. It's so that the page doesn't warp. And a bit of water on each of my oxides. And then we're going to get a really big paintbrush. We could get a bigger one. Do I have a bigger one? I don't actually think I do. I only ever have little paintbrushes because I really only generally use I only do little things, so it makes more sense. So I'm going to start. I'm kind of leaning towards not using the tattered rose at the moment, just because it feels like a slightly different kind of shade. Not shade, but kind of looks a little bit more cool than the others. And I'm just splodging, my favourite word, splodging this on and moving the colour around. You could smush this as well if you didn't want to do the sort of watery kind of thing. I do find smushing works really well as well. So you sort of do the opposite. You put the ink down all over the mat, and then you would just get it really wet and flip the page onto it. I just wanted to try this as something a bit different, see what I get. And I'm trying to keep them as two, keep them together, which I know I'm not doing a really good job of right now, but it needs to be one big splodge because, actually we kind of, I'm hoping that I can sort of get a splodge for the card front and then some other splodges for the inside for the actual butterfly wings. That's sort of what I'm going with here. So I'm keeping, this is my card base. I can make it smaller. In fact, I'm very tempted to turn this into a square. Just feel like a square would look really cool. Alright, so that's all spun sugar, and there's a tiny little bit of tattered rose in the corners. And we'll sort of come in with the worn lipstick, which is a little bit darker. just add in some kind of highlighty areas. I know this looks like a mess now. It won't look like a mess for long. I'll very quickly fix this up. Once it's dry, then you can sort of go back in again and work out where your edges are, where your bits that are missing are. Okay, so I'm going to leave it like that for now. I'm just going to go in and dry this off. Now, heat tool is the easiest way to do this if you want to do it fast, and I do find it then preserves the way this looks a little bit more. If I leave it to dry overnight, it tends to not, it moves around a little bit more because it's obviously exposed to the elements a little bit. So I'm going to use my heat tool and I'm just going to blast this until it's dry, and then we'll work out if we need to put on another layer. So that's probably about 80% dry. I'm just grabbing a tissue. I just like to rub it over the top just to pick up any really big water splodges that still happen to be there. There aren't any in this case, so we're good. Sort of a little bit wet still up in this corner. So I really like this kind of water look. If you don't, that's where you pull the tissue in when it was all sort of pooling there and you just sort of pick it up. That way you get the really smooth kind of finish. Like I said, I really like it. I think it looks really cool. So I'm going to put another layer. I'm going to do the exact same thing I just did. So I am wetting the crap out of this. It won't move what's already there. It's fine. Or it will. It might move it a tinsy bit. It's not going to move it much. And then I'm going to pull in a little bit more of that tattered rose this time. Kind of make these combo colours so they're kind of in the middle. And I'm just putting some, still sticking with the splodgy. I don't want it to look like drops. I just want it to look a little bit splodgy, and it's just another layer. It's just going to add some depth. And I'm particularly paying attention to these bits where it's just a little bit pale, just so I can get a nice coverage the whole way along. So I don't need to do quite as much this time, but I am trying to still make it look really soft, because that bit there just looked a little strong. And if it does that, just grab yourself a little bit more water. Kind of pull the bits. This is where your really good watercolor paper, which unfortunately this isn't, is going to do a little bit better, because it's not going to pill. Mine's pilling just a little bit, but not enough for me to panic about, so I think it's okay. Okay, so I'm just looking at it going, do I need anything else? I want a little bit more of the tattered rose over there. Alright. So I'm going to do the same thing, dry this off, and I'll be right back. Alright, so again we're at about 90%, so just that, this is just that same tissue. It's just picking up anything that's still a bit more damp, which there isn't, so excellent. Alright, so while that's sort of drying, I'm just going to tidy up the ink, because we're just about done with that. And then I want to get the square for my card base. I want to get that done, because then I can start sort of working out where everything's going to go. So like I said, this wasn't designed to mask anything, but it's done a decent job. Yeah, you could use that as a border without too much problem. This is my Connect. I would never know what it's called. It's from Connect. I have looked for it and I can't seem to find it. I think I bought it at Scat Cats, but I can't quite remember. So there's my little watercolor piece. It is still a bit damp, so I'm just going to put it off to the side for now while we work on the card base. I just want this to be dry, so I'm just going to cut this into a square. So instead of being a rectangle card, it's going to be a square card. It is 10 and a half, so I'm just going to cut this to 10 and a half. Always should do it through one layer, not two. which I forget to do more often than not. So, go 10.5 by 10.5. And because of the die we're going to put on the inside, we need this to be an opening card like this. Now, why is it whenever I do that it doesn't look straight? It is straight, it doesn't look good. We're good. Okay, so because I have a 10.5, I need to put a 10.5 centimeter square black mat on this. Now, I happen to have been playing with some paper lately, so I might... No, it's not going to be wide enough. I didn't think it was. So this is just a bit of Quill black paper. It is really, really thin. That's fine. It's just a mat, so it doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to cut this to 10.5 by 10.5 and stick this on the back of the card. Now I am tempted, sorry, on the front of the card, not the back of the card. I am tempted to try something in the middle, other than, and you know, I probably can, so, and I'll do it before I stick this on. So what I want to do, no idea if this is going to work. If it fails miserably, well, at least we tried together. So I'm putting a ton of water. Actually, I don't want the water there. Right. Need to think about this. This is an on the fly. Everything else I'd planned. This is on the fly. So I'm going to have, I want like a splodge of water in the middle here. So I'm just going to put a little bit of warm lipstick. I'm going to pull this so it's a bit thinner in a sec. Just a little bit of spun sugar on either side. So that's obviously a bit wide. So all I'm going to do is just with that cloth, which is just a bit damp anyway, I'm just going to wipe off where I don't want the ink. Doesn't matter if it's a straight line, because when we put the water on anyway, it'll smush, so it will be fine. So I'm just making that into a bit more of a thin kind of thing. Like I said, I'm not sure if this is going to work, but... so then we get the water. I just love watching Oxide do that. It just makes me so happy. And I'm just going to squodge this down on it. That's it. Just going to squodge it down. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. All I've wasted is a bit of cardstock. This isn't watercolour cardstock, so I'm not expecting it to be quite as woohoo as it could be. But anyway. Because we're going to cover it, doesn't matter if I get a little bit of ink on the front or the back, doesn't really matter. Alright, so once that's down, I'm just going to pick it up. I'm going to use some tweezers just so I can get in under it. That was what I wanted. Something very similar to that. That's what I wanted. That's perfect. Yay! So I'm going to get all this off before I get anything else in it. And all I'm going to do is just dry this off. I'm just going to show you something really quick though. What I was saying before about that water pooling, if you don't want the water pool when you dry this off, just grab a tissue and just wipe off that excess where it's pooling, and that way when you dry it, you won't get the pool marks like you do everywhere else. So I'm just going to dry that off because I've got rid of that now. I'm just going to close that up and put it under something heavy. I might actually run this through my die machine. Yeah, I will. So I'm just going to run it through. All I'm going to do though is I'm going to put it, I really don't want to get any of these marks. Sorry, I'm trying to remember what the word is. I don't want to get any marks or anything on here. So I'm going to put it through underneath here, and I'm going to put it with one of my brand new top plates, and that's just so it doesn't make any mess. I'm just going to run that through the die machine. So I'm not cutting, I'm not embossing, I'm not doing anything. I'm just making it flat again. Pressure, it's a good thing. Cards thrive under pressure. There we go. So it just looks a little bit flatter now. So grab that matte piece back in. I'm just checking. It's a little bit big, but I can fix that. And I'm just going to stick that on with glue tape for this bit, because I want it to stick, and I want it to stick down now so I can trim off the excess. So that's the front of our card. Doesn't look like much now. And then that's going to be the inside. So when you open it up, you'll see this gorgeous butterfly and it'll have this watercolour background behind it. Now what I'm thinking is that this needs to have a little bit of gold, and I'm just trying to work out, I want to use gold embossing powder with the sentiment on the front. So I'm just trying to work out how I'm going to put some gold. I would love to know how to do like marble so that it looked like there was marble bits running through here. And short of doing that with a really skinny paintbrush, I'm not actually sure how. But you know what? We're playing with stuff today, so let's give it a go. Let's just see what happens. So I'm grabbing, again, a big bunch of water. And I'm going to use this yellow gold in the middle. So I'm just going to get that wet first. I love this stuff. This is the Gansai Tambi Starry Colours, and I use it everywhere. There is just no surface that this doesn't look amazing on. Kind of thought about putting the water down first and then letting the paint run down it, but I don't know if that'll work. So I'm just very gently, it does look a little contrived. I'm hoping that as it dries it'll look less so, or as I put more paint on it. So I'm just trying to get just a little bit of, probably a bit thicker than I wanted as well, just a little bit of a marbling kind of effect through here. I'm sure this isn't right. I know that's not what marble looks like, but we've done it now, so because we're going to cut this up anyway, it might end up looking okay. So just going to continue on with it. Sometimes trying things works, sometimes it doesn't. When we cut that up, it might look okay. I might put some splatters, that might sort of help as well. But look how that catches, isn't it just amazing? I love this paint. Alright, so now we're going to start working out where we're going to put, I kind of like this top corner, I don't know why. Alright, so I'm going to grab the paper trimmer out. And I'm going to get my 10.5, actually it needs to be a 9.5 square, and then from there we'll work where we're going to put the wings. So I'm just grabbing, just getting rid of the white bits on the side that I don't want. So get the 9.5. I changed my mind a lot. We are going to put some splatters on here as well, I think. Maybe just a little bit on the edges. So it's going to be the front. So now we can sort of see where everything goes. So I'm just going to grab, I'm going to make a mess. So anything you don't want to get paint on, just move off to the side for a minute. Just a few little splatters. Okay, that was more splatters than I meant, but anyway. Anyway, dry that off too. And while that's drying, we're going to just start doing the sentiment. Now, I want something really simple for this. I don't want it to be too complicated, and I don't want to be over the top. So what I'm going to do is just grab a bit of that scrap black. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to use black still, but I'm just going to pull a different, this is actually a bit of cardstock. Where'd that top go? I'm going to stamp onto the black paper that's the same, but I'm going to mount it up onto the black cardstock because it is just a little bit thicker, but it's a slightly different, you can just see the difference in the colour, and I don't want that. So what I'm going to do is grab out some letters stamps. So these ones are from, these are Claire's ABCs, these are Lawn Fawn. I borrowed them off Denise. No one's supposed to see them falling off. I just lost their sticky a little bit, so I need to fix that, but I only dropped one. So I'm just going to spell out thanks. Thanks or thank you? I don't know, haven't decided yet. I really should decide that pretty quickly, shouldn't I? I'll do thank you because it feels a little bit more formal. So I'm going to use the capital. So I'm just going to grab the letters that I need. I'm sure somewhere in my collection I do have a thank you that would do the same job. I really like using these at the moment. They're just a little bit bigger, so it kind of gives the sentiment just a little bit more gravitas. Alright, so I'm just going to put this down on the block. And I'm just using the lines on here as the guide, because these are sketched on or etched on, so that I can keep this in a straight line. And the cool thing about these ones from Lawn Fawn is that they are actually designed to be butted right up against each other, so you can just butt them straight up and you know you're going to get that line, that like it's actually going to look like a sentiment, as opposed to, you know how sometimes when you use letter stamps there's a really big gap between them. This doesn't do that. So I'm going to have thank you as one word. That's a bit of a contentious issue as well, isn't it, if it's a one word or a two word or a hyphen. Just going to have it as one. Been making a lot of thank you cards lately. So there's the little thank you. Grab out my powder tool and go to town, because I do not want anything getting stuck on this. Get our Versamark out. Go. Now, I'm horrible at getting strips of sentiments. I just am. They never work. They're never straight. So this is a bit scary for me to be even trying this. It's not quite, but it's alright. But I want to show you guys that even if I do mess it up, there are ways to fix things. I'm hoping. And obviously I'd love just to not to screw it up. That would be much easier. So the embossing powder I'm going to use is this Sizzix stuff. I really wanted some gold. I realised I didn't have gold embossing powder in my collection. And this is all they had at Spotlight, but I'm actually really liking it. It's a nice colour. Pull it out. It works really, really well, which I didn't expect from an embossing powder I bought at Spotlight, but it does work really nicely. I got it in a 3-pack with some silver, which I do already have silver, and some white, which I obviously already have white. But I think it was like, I don't actually remember how much it was. I just grabbed it because I knew I wanted it. But at the moment it's working really well. I do find that I don't go through embossing powders too fast, so that's good. So I'm just going to heat this from the bottom first and then the top, which will then react and give me my sentiment. It kind of matches the gold that's there. It's a little bit more brassy, but only just. Oh, I really like that background. I don't like the stripe. I will admit the stripes aren't what I was aiming at, but it's okay. So now that we've got the thank you down, I'm just grabbing my cloth and just giving that a wipe. So I'm just grabbing the powder off there, basically. Don't do that. And then we're going to try and cut this straight. I don't know why. It's something about the sentiments. They just don't like me. And I can never, ever, ever, ever get it straight. I don't know why. I don't know what I did. I don't know why I ruined them, but I do. I do it a lot. Ooh, that might be okay. And now I will cut it with this trimmer. I wasn't going to. I was going to try and do it by hand, but I won't. Strips for me are the hardest thing. I have real issues with them, and I'm doing some investigating into other kinds of trimmers for no other reason than so I get straight sentiments. So I'm going to stick this down with glue tape. Where did my scrap bit of paper go? That'll do. Don't want to get glue on my mat if I can avoid it. And then I'm going to cut it. Cut the strip out again by hand, because I'm working with a smaller bit of cardboard now. I don't trust the trimmer. The slightly bigger bits of paper are fine, but cool thing by putting that on some black is that it's a true black the whole way around, so I don't have to worry about it not quite fitting in. Alright, let's start putting this card together. So we'll get the front done first. So I deliberately wanted this to be very, very simple. That was kind of the point. I'm going to put some sequins on the front. It's something I've been doing a bit lately. I think I've been watching too much Jennifer Maguire. But I'm really enjoying doing it, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to stick this down with some liquid glue though, because I want to be able to wiggle this around till it's in the right spot. And whenever I do card fronts, I like to grab my biggest acrylic block and just lean that down on top of it for a minute while it dries. I'm just going to leave the thank you there. Okay, this is the fun part. We'll get the inside bit done. I know this has been kind of complicated because it's a kind of complicated, but what you can do is you can take just little bits of this. So just take the card front and don't add the butterfly on the front, or put the butterfly on the inside but make it a really simple card front. That's sort of what you can do. Now this is a Lawn Fawn die set. I don't have the die set. I borrowed it from Trish. The last time I saw Trish from Hobby Hoppers, I just kind of went a bit bonkers with this and cut, I think, I may have cut 20 or 30 little of these butterflies. What it does is it cuts out the frame, so then you can do this. You can stick them together. Come on. Here we go. Oh, sorry, I missed the hole. That's why it's not working. Put it together. I just look like a silly person now. Come on. There we go. It actually is very easy. I'm just really bad at it. And then when you put it in the card, it'll sit flat, and when they open it, it'll open up. And it'll be this gorgeous butterfly, which on that watercolor background that we did was just going to look stunning. Now, I'm sort of actually now debating whether I want to put the back on it. So what we'll do, hold on. So it will sit in there just like that. And when you open it, the butterfly will go out. So you could, because the background in here is actually really pretty, you could leave it. I'm going to continue and do what I was going to do in the first place, which is put my watercolor background from the front on the inside, but just know that you don't have to. You could leave it exactly the way it is. So I'll just grab that other bit of watercolor paper back in. And then this is actually, again, from the die set, and I just cut it out as a template. And all I'm going to do is just cut around the outside of it. So I'm just going to put it on the paper somewhere. And then you can do it either way, basically. I kind of feel like I need to go this way so that I get them both on there. Now you could trace it and then cut it out. I'm just going to cut around. I'm just going to cut around the shape. And then I can, because you're going to stick it onto the butterfly anyway, it won't be, you can kind of trim off the excess if you've got any. So obviously having the die set would be a lot easier at this point. I don't have it, and I can't have everything, but borrowing your friends and cutting out a bunch of them to use at a later stage, really good way to do it. If you don't like this butterfly, or if you don't have a friend that you can borrow it from, there are plenty of cut files on the internet that you can put into your Cricut or your Silhouette if you have one. Otherwise, yeah, this one wouldn't be one I'd attempt to do by hand. I feel like it would be way too hard to do by hand, but the effect is really cool if you want to invest in it. I just haven't invested in the die set because I know Trish has it, so if I want to borrow it, I just ask Trish. That's where it's fun to have crafty friends, people. Alright, so that's one side. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Now just remember, for the other side you need to flip this over. So before we cut it around this way, this time we're cutting it around this way. So now I could put the speckles on here as well, but I want it to be slightly different from the outside, sorry. So I'm not going to put any of the splatter onto the feathers, onto the wings. Actually, I kind of like the way that they look without it. Doesn't that look cool? That's marbled more the way I wanted it to, so we're good there. So to stick this down, you need a little bit of liquid glue and a bit of patience. So we're just going to pull these apart again. Come on. There we go. So it's going to stick on like that. And that's what I mean with the fussy cutting. You don't have to be 100% perfect because the frame of this is going to help you out anyway. So all I'm going to do is put this on here with no glue and work out if anything's not quite right. That one's actually worked out really, really well. So in with the liquid glue. With ones like this that are a bit more intricate and I don't want to go over the top, I find dots are a bit easier. So just dotting all over. You can do little lines if you want, but whatever works. But you just want to make sure that you get a really good stick. And again, the liquid glue allows me a little bit of time to get this into the right spot. Wiggle it around and make sure that you can't see. Oh, that's so good. I'm gonna put that underneath there as well. Got a bit of a pile happening up over there, don't I? So do the same thing with the other side. Oops, too much glue. It's one of the reasons I actually really like this glue is it kind of comes out like this. It's got that dot thing. Oh, this one's got a bit that hasn't come out. It kind of does this little dotty thing. If you go fast enough, it'll put a line, but it's not a very solid line. Now, as soon as I stuck this down, I realised I didn't do the sizing thing like I did on the other side. Thankfully that's actually worked anyway. I love that. Damn the pink. I'm not supposed to like pink, remember? Right, so leave the butterfly. Come back to the front. I'm going to pop the thank you up on some foam tape. Now I actually have some black foam tape, so this works really well, but if you don't have it, the white's fine. It doesn't make that much of a difference. It really is just a small little detail that if you can make it black, but if you can't, don't worry about it. This is something that's just bothering me because I'm a crazy person. There is a teensy little bit of white that's just showing up at the bottom here. I'm just going to grab my Copic. No, I'm not, because I'm scared if I do that little bit I have to do it all. So I'm actually just going to get over it. Or do this. There you go, that's better. Now, I do think I want to put some sequins. These are very old ink sequins, but a couple of these are very pastel, and that's sort of what I want to use some of them just to add some. No, way too red. Now when I'm doing sequins, I use my little jewel picker. Grab this from Hobby Hoppers at one of the picture pages, and I'm so glad I did. It is so good for, you know, basically anything. Picking up dies, picking up sequins, picking up just things I drop on the ground. So good. And it's amazing how these pinks look so different when you pull them away from their bright pinks. Like this is obviously a really bright one. On this background, they just look really nice. Alright, so stick those down. Just a little bit of the liquid glue again. I like to pick it up, put the glue dot down, sequin down on the top. Because it doesn't really matter if these aren't in exactly the right spot, it doesn't matter if they move just a tinsy bit. You sort of have to hold it down until the glue dries enough that you can get the jewel picker back off again. And then obviously this glue will dry clear, so if you do have some sort of sticking out of the sequin, that's okay. Oops. The plan was for this front to be very simple. I feel like it's gone a long way away from being simple, but never hurts to try something different. And I have been doing that a bit lately with the whole being at home thing. I have had an opportunity to play a little bit more with things I haven't played with before, so a little bit more. It was actually one of the Memory Decks challenges pushed me to try playing with the vintage kind of stuff, and that worked better than I thought. And I've actually made a really nice card now with the vintage kind of, not theme, but got a vintage feel to it, which I didn't think I was capable of doing, but apparently I am. So there we go, there's the outside done. No, leave it alone. I kind of feel like it just went up the two sides. I'm not very good at my jewel placements here. Alright, so we'll finish this off by putting... I got a black spot. It's alright. When you write the message on, it'll be fine. Finish this off by putting the butterflies in. So I find the easiest way to do this is to put them together, same way they were before. Whoops, helps if you put them together the right way. And this is just another little tip. Sometimes you'll find that your dies have just a little bit of excess cardboard after you've stuck everything down. Grab a really stiff brush. This is probably one of my worst paint brushes, which is why I use it for glue and stuff. So it's really brittle, but it works really well to kind of pick up those cardboard bits and brush them away. Fortunately, it does not quite work for little bits of ink. I don't actually even know where that's come from. Nah, leave it alone. So I fold this up so that it sits flat. I'm going to put it where I want it on one side. So a little bit of liquid glue on that. I'm having a fear here. I fear I'm doing this wrong. I am doing it wrong. Put that in the wrong spot. So I'm just going to wipe that glue off. I knew I was. Something about it didn't feel right. This is a little trick to make that less sticky or unsticky. Put yourself a bit of powder on it. I know it looks horrible right now. Won't for long. Sticking one side down here because then the other side I can do by closing the card. And it does have just a little bit of a bump in the middle, but that's sort of the way it's supposed to be. And there's your butterfly on the inside. Is that just not the cutest? Oh, I love that so much. Now I'm a little annoyed that I put the glue on the wrong side. Can't do anything about it now. Best thing I can probably do, at least it's not sticky. Best thing I can probably do is go in once that's sort of dry and just go over with a bit of black. But quite honestly, I don't mind. Still leaves you plenty of room to be able to write, but it means that the pink comes in from the outside to the inside. So you've got the thank you with all that beautiful watercolour, and then you've got a big splash on the inside when you get that beautiful butterfly. Oh, love. Actually really love that card. Didn't think I would. God damn with the pink. Pink! What am I going to do with it? Anyway, that is my watercolour pop-up butterfly. Thank you. There is a little bit more you could do to sort of extra finish this off if you really didn't like the back here. Quite honestly, no one's only ever going to notice it for that 0.2 of a second when you open up. Other than that, you're never going to see it, so I don't think it's worth changing. Could put some sequins on there if you want. There are ways you can hide the back. I think it looks fine. And I just love the way it sits there. It's so good. So thank you very much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know if you'd like to see other kinds of cards like this where I'm kind of playing with watercolors and stuff instead of so many stamps. I like trying different things every once in a while, so I'm happy to give that a go for you. Don't forget to be following me on all of my social medias for any other updates from me. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic, fantastic day, whatever you're doing, and I'll see you again in my next video. Sending lots of huggles. Bye!